What's going on, everybody? Just getting everything sorted out here.
"1971. We woke up in a different world, where the Cold War ended along with the Vietnam carnage. All because of the Dome. The Dome. A territory full of anomalous artifacts, phenomena, and organisms. We still don't know what it is. An alien city? Some kind of a testing ground or storage? Whatever it is, no living thing trapped under the Dome can escape it. Yet even this did not stop the research. The major powers created the Cronus Mega Corporation to develop and explore the Dome. Its secrets became a lucrative business. The Spire station was built on top of the Dome to export the artifacts and import supplies and personnel. The city of Crystal Sands grew at the foot of the Dome, eventually becoming a major transportation hub. All this required thousands of employees, and there was no shortage of candidates. Romantics, pragmatists, and adventurers of all trades swarmed recruiting centers around the globe, seeking jobs at Cronus. You were one of those people. In 1976, your application was approved, and you went under the Dome towards the future. Whether a good one or a bad one, only time will tell.
And that should throw us into character creation. How's everybody doing? Alright, so first things first, gotta make our character. We can either pick a pre-generated one or make one. We'll make one for the sake of the stream, but if you're unaware, the prologue of Encased is a little intense, actually, which is why I decided to do it for this. Nathan says just say no to pre-gens. Yeah, basically. I hate that I can't have a beard and glasses at the same time for whatever reason. Because features. White Wing, we're going to go Black Wing, actually, because they get a bunch of combat stuff, which will make our lives a little easier. I like Silver Wing. Silver Wing's actually what I play most of the time, but since we're just doing the prologue to show how creepy it is, we're going to go with a more combat-focused character. And then we actually don't need that much muscle, so we'll take that down a little bit. Raise perception up, as well as pull fortune down a little bit, and then put more into guts. Okay, so Psyche's fine. That's just like one type. We don't need anything too crazy because again, we're just doing the prologue here, but that should be fine for what we're doing. And we have combat and applied skills, which I always thought was a pretty good distinction for a game like this. So we're gonna go. Let's go light weapons and melee weapons, and then for our applied, this isn't going to come up a ton, but being able to hack, or lockpick rather, is pretty useful. So we do need a couple points in tech for that, or at least a few more than we actually have at the moment. Then we can pick a trait. These are like the whole bonus for a negative type thing that you can pick. Which honestly I don't think we're going to pick any in particular, but most of them are kind of whatever. We'll keep that hilarious portrait that doesn't match at all. I guess I could go back here and change it. Right? Yeah. Something close. Not a ton that really match it. Like, the portraits are a little Like, I just wish there was more of them, I guess is my point. None of them really have beards, besides like one guy. Alright. So, now we start off on the elevator down to the dome. We can talk to these people, though it doesn't garner us much. And then whenever you're ready...
Stopping by the door's porthole, you watch as the ground slowly approaches. It looks brown-black through the tinted glass, and smoky blue at the horizon. It almost seems like the clouds are pulling apart there. You peer into the rusty clouds of dust blowing along a dirt road leading south. The southern sector. Every Black Winger has heard the whispers about Operation Simoom, a major offensive under preparation since the early days of development of the Dome. Cronus is recruiting troops capable of capturing the southern territory, an area heavily guarded by the Forefathers' defense systems. Maybe you yourself will end up in one of those troops. Just as you're about to move away from the window, you notice a whirlwind beginning to form above the ochre plain. The gathering storm drifts unhurriedly above the desert, a crown of green lightning flashing at its core. Clearly no ordinary weather phenomenon. It must be one of those anomalies. You freeze by the window, unable to avert your gaze.
Alright, it doesn't really matter much what we pick here. We can either keep talking to people or any of these options. Just
the outlines of the landing site, blurred by clouds of dust, appear behind the greenish glass of the porthole. The capsule shudders as the braking devices engage.
Okay.
Come here. Come on now, or you'll miss everything.
A cheerful man in a white lab coat grabs you by the sleeve. A badge reading Ludovico Nuzzi, scientific analyst, export department, dangles loosely on his clean uniform, which still smells pungently of washing powder.
Look over there.
He points upward with a sharp, wide gesture and hands you his field binoculars. You raise the binoculars to your eyes. Under fourfold magnification, the whirling cloud above the rust-colored plains looks even stranger. Its core glows with flickering green light and flashes rhythmically, and that rhythm seems to form a complicated pattern. Nuzzi bends close to your ear.
Fascinating. Do you want me to bring some filters? If we intercept the red and blue spectrums, we'll see something amazing.
Nuzzi looks from you. He flings his arms up.
Yeah, the storm is growing stronger.
Nice. Then we go in. Now, I can't say I've ever tried to get down to the lower section. I'm not even sure you can, actually.
Remember, our honest work will make the world a better place.
Alright, and then we proceed with our registration, basically.
Just great, Mr. Monty James. With luck like yours, I wouldn't spend it.
A tall receptionist watches you from behind his desk with a bored, haughty look. The employee glances at you indifferently.
All new employees must register first thing. Come up to the desk, please.
The administrator slaps himself on the forehead. Rayhet produces a reel-to-reel tape recorder from beneath the desk, rewinds the tape to the beginning, and presses play. Solemn music begins to play, and the administrator's face takes on a serious expression.
Dear employee, on behalf of the Cronus Foundation, I, Administrator Dean Rayhet, welcome you to your new life under the dome.
The administrator clears his throat and continues.
By joining our company, you choose the path of science and progress. You are among mankind's best, and we ask that you live up to this.
Dean squints down at the monitor.
Deserve this title. Do your job honestly. Obey the law. Respect your colleagues and...
The music fades, and the administrator finishes his speech.
And together we will build the best possible future for all mankind.
Since the last time I played, they moved the barter and the bribe buttons over here. They used to be down here. Just a random
Dean
little thing I just
puts
noticed.
the tape recorder away.
Now that we're done with the official greeting, I'll register you and upgrade your Selectron. Okay?
Dean's hands hover over the keyboard. He gives you a nod. You spell out your first and last names and specify your wing, profession, and test results. The Rayhet scans the computer screen.
So your position in the waiting list was 63,784. You've been assigned to Magellan Station. A special bus will bring you there after a series of briefings. Please pass me your Selectron so I can update the firmware.
Dean snaps the docking port of your pass to a recess in the casing of his computer. The administrator returns your Selectron.
Here you are.
Dean continues.
All new employees have a short list of tasks to perform on arrival. Do you want to hear all the details or just the short version?
Rayhet snorts. Dean sits back in his
All
armchair.
right, and then from
That's it.
there,
Rayhet, he reaches as he's
he just tells us to go get our briefing, which kind of serves as the tutorial a little bit. We get our first bit of armor from that guy. And then you can actually get into these back areas to steal everything. If you put your skills in the right stuff, it's possible to like come into this armored door and then like steal stuff from this dude. As well as the armory over here. You can do a lot of stuff like that. But he gives us some armor and stuff.
behind the storage counter. You see a small, neat. The silver perks up at your. The silver finally stops and pins down. Maynard adjusts his glasses in a businesslike manner. Sydney fiddles.
That's why it's important.
He points. Sydney. The silver unfolded.
Standard.
He raises. Sydney hands you the package.
Here's...
Sydney adjusts
So
his
you can
glasses.
buy some stuff from
Sure,
it
I'll
as
show
well.
Sydney scribbles something in his logbook.
Please come back anytime if you need something.
We're gonna grab a shovel. And alright, we're gonna sell the fixer. We don't need it. Not for this anyway. And we don't have too much cash. That might be about all we can grab right now. If you start out as a silver, you actually have a bunch more money to play with, which is cool. We'll probably grab that belt, and that is it. No, we're actually a little short because that's both 50, isn't it? Alright, then we can equip. Some of this stuff is from the Kickstarter backer that I was on. Some of this isn't stuff you'd normally get. Nicholas says, hi, I'm actually playing Tyranny because of you. What a history and world. Yeah, it's a really great game, man. I love Tyranny. I wish they would do something more with that universe. I mean, I doubt we'll ever get a direct sequel, but if they would just do something in that universe, I would honestly be happy with it. But now we go here. Talk to her to get our gun.
The smell of good tobacco wafts off this. The woman fixes her coppery. Margarita thumbs back a couple of pages in her logbook. She glances at her Kairos, looks at you, snorts, and retreats to the shelves. The black returns a couple of minutes later with a big baton.
Here you go.
She swipes the baton through the air, then rolls it between her hands with clear satisfaction. Unperturbed, the black covers the weapon she's just put on the counter with her large, soft hand.
Alright,
No,
so-
it is then. What would you like instead?
They'll give you a recommended weapon, depending on the wing you picked. But you can actually, like, if you just be like, I would actually like something else, they will just let you pick something else. And we have all of our points and light weapons,
Woman
so.
pauses. Margarita disappears into the back of the armory. A couple of minutes later, she puts the gun in the The black draws the slide with a snap. Margarita drags the armorer, leaning over the...
That before?
Alright, and then got our weapon, and then we have to talk to this guy. teaches you about psi weapons.
A lean silver with thick black hair and as you approach, he flashes a sly grin and slowly raises an outstretched hand above the table. Something really weird happens. All the paper clips, pencils, scattered toothpicks, and bits of trash float up from the table and hang in the air. The silver trills with laughter. He approves of your reaction. The objects fall back to the tabletop with a light clatter.
Here for the briefing, huh? Shall we get...
The silver props his elbows on the table.
Anyway, here's the deal. It's more profitable for people with a high psyche to study psionics. Give me your hand.
Not waiting for an answer, Andre gropes your hand briefly, then lets go, disappointed.
The pills, huh? The anti-migraine, sleeping pills, neuroleptics, downers. What do you mean you don't take them? Well, off you go then. That means no talent, huh?
The silver takes a thin glove covered in... He counts off on his fingers.
So that conversation changes a lot depending on how much psyche you got from the beginning of character creation. And it's really cool, but we don't have any psyche, so it doesn't do us much
An engineer
good.
in a bright...
You're a new...
The technician slaps Pen Max.
Though there's another way. You want to learn something?
The blue pen
Using them.
He gives you...
By the way, actually...
The blue. He looks at the door.
This guy just gives you a lock-picking tutorial. And you can either lockpick it if you have the skill by hand, or if you don't, you can use a lockpick
Apply it to the door. Yes.
instead,
Apply is the proper word. You're doing great. All right.
like that.
Off you go.
Welcome under the dome, an amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization.
And then, if you come over here, there's actually a bunch of different stuff you can do. Oh, there it goes. You can get in that coffin right there by talking to this dude, which can lead you to a death. You can help this guy steal some stuff by sneaking around over here, which is actually pretty profitable, but we're not going to bother with it. You can actually die going that way. There's like 4 or 5 different ways to die around this station, which are honestly really funny. And there's also an achievement for doing like all of them, like dying in each individual way, which is hilarious. This game is called Encased. And we can scan all this stuff for experience. Do I prefer real-time with pause or turn-based? Honestly, I don't really care either way. Neither of them really bother me. They both have their pros and cons.
What? What are you? Come back again.
Alright, that guy will ask us to do what we just did, basically.
So where were we? Bye-bye.
Nice easy bit of XP there. You can scan some other stuff just for XP across the board.
Old habits. You know that.
Shall we continue?
That's actually an easy way to level up and get a lot of early money, is to do the extra stuff around the station here.
Hey,
What's going on, NW?
start over. He only did it once.
No, Butch is right. I ain't gonna argue with him.
Like, just from that, we're already almost level 2, literally just from scanning stuff and doing that one little side thing. Alright, and then next up, they give you the combat tutorial.
A middle-aged black is sitting. Botherby frowns as you approach. The black looks you over. Botherby leans. He raises, holding a notepad from his pocket.
Okay. You can't actually die in this. It's literally just like some holograms that they try to teach you the basics with. And this is a turn-based system, so... That said, all of our points are in light weapons, so we have a pretty good chance to hit, but depending on your skill with a given weapon and everything, determines your chance to hit, primarily. So as you can see, we have a 100% chance on all these guys, which is purely because we took the light weapon skill, and that's what we're using. This used to be just like a bare bones, like lab style room. I haven't actually played since they added all this extra stuff. There we go. There's level 2. And we gotta reload. There was no real good place to put like my camera, so I'm sorry if you guys can't see some of the UI. But it was like the only place I wouldn't have been in the way is like right in the middle, and that would have been weird. But there's level 2, so we can level up real quick. We're gonna put 3 points into tech because that's gonna let us lockpick by hand, and then everything else we're going to throw into probably just light weapons for right now because we're just doing the prologue, so I can show you guys how creepy it is for Halloween. And that'll do it. I don't think we get any perks until a little later. Yeah, eventually you'll be able to pick perks, which will kind of change things up for you. And then if you talk to people with your weapon drawn, they're not fans. So offhand, what is the... There we go. We just press that little button and it puts it away.
Botherby nods grandly.
You made it through training without making a total fool of yourself.
Do you have a favorite game genre outside of CRPGs? I do. And that is action RPGs. I don't really make a lot of content for it, but I enjoy ARPGs quite a lot. I've actually 100%ed a bunch of those too.
You see a tall scientist in a white lab coat, bathed in the dim lamplight. The man turns at your footsteps. He glances from you to the glittering watch on his wrist. Finished with his unusual... The scientist puts the clip... He shows Sebastian the plate. Van Olden pushes up the scientist.
This guy teaches you about your scanner, which lets you scan technology and stuff and kind of gives you more background about it, which is nice for just teaching you about the world,
Please
really.
stand by for decontamination to end.
But also, it kind of teaches you how to find out about various things around the world, because they give you this scanner, and you can scan just about everything, so it's always worth taking a look. And then there's also radiation, so we take some ARAD 3, they call it, which is basically this world's version of RADX, to mitigate your radiation intake, and then we have to come down here and scan these anomalies, or at least the structure. Come on in. Without hitting these electric things, because then you'll get shocked, and it'll deal damage to you. Have I played The Witcher 3? It's on sale on Steam, considering picking it up. I don't think anybody needs my recommendation to play Witcher 3. It's an amazing game. I've 100% of that too, actually. Took forever. Alright, gotta get that one. As Nathan points out, there is actually a decontamination thing right here, which clears your radiation, so you don't technically have to waste the ARAD 3 right there if you don't want to, but, I mean, we don't really need it for much, so. Now we talk to the guy.
Sebastian meets you. He clicks the stopwatch button, fixing the result time. The scientist turns back to his note. The scientist, he glances Sebastian, then the white.
Okay, and then all of that finally unlocks the door, so we can go to the last part of the tutorial and jump into the proper bit of the prologue here.
Ed, spit it out. I can see that something's bothering you.
Employee, please come here. There's an urgent...
Alright, if you have high enough perception, you can find this, which has a little relic that'll increase your encumbrance, which is nice. So relics come from the dome, and depending on your character build, you can have up to 5 relic slots, and they do all sorts of stuff. Inactive relics actually take away the negative effect, but active relics also come with a negative effect.
I'm all ears.
Alright, then he tells us to come in here. where we get our mission to go to the Nashville station.
The giant display glows welcomingly when you approach. A red light comes on under the screen's steel hood. The camera is switched on. A gray old man with high cheekbones appears and squints out at you from the screen.
Do you copy?
He leans close to the camera, his glasses glittering.
My name is Martin Kingsley. I'm Chief Officer of Magellan Base. We were supposed to meet in person, but unforeseen circumstances prevented that. One moment. I'll grab your file.
He reaches for something out of view and produces a thin folder with your name on the cover. Apparently, your file. He marks one of the pages with a pencil.
Why did you choose Blackwing? There are other divisions in the corporation you could have worked in.
Kingsley's waiting for your answer. Martin nods and writes something down.
Cronus has much to offer. Varied assignments, our own training zone, and the opportunity to move up through the ranks.
Kingsley closes the file and folds his hands in front of him.
Thank you for your reply. I learned a little more about you. Now I want you to learn a little bit more about us. Keep in mind, this is not a rehearsed speech.
He assumes a serious expression.
When the dome was discovered in 1971, it became a scientific and media sensation, a worldwide phenomenon, and likely the most significant discovery in the history of mankind.
Kingsley drums his fingers on the unseen desk, his gaze focused somewhere beyond.
I see. You were enticed here by radio advertising, telefilms, and all those interviews, billboards at every turn. Cronus wants the world to see the dome as a stage where something merry and fascinating is going on. But now that you're actually here, I want you to see the real picture.
You can't make out his eyes behind the glare on his spectacles, but he seems to be staring directly at you.
Here's the truth. Nobody was waiting for us inside the dome. It's neither a treasury of technologies nor a cemetery of the ancients. Perhaps what we're doing now is defusing the world's most complicated bomb. Will our mission thrive? I believe so. If we work together and everybody does their part.
He looks back at your file.
I say, do what must be done. Because that's what the concept of the 5 wings is all about.
Kingsley points at the camera.
You're from Blackwing. Your duties are simple and straightforward. But you have to understand, everything you do is to maintain order and peace. Once people panic, they kill each other much quicker than the dome ever would.
Putting the folder aside, he sits back and stares at you in silence. It gets so quiet that the ticking of a clock can be heard through the speakers. Kingsley sighs quietly.
You were probably waiting for some boilerplate welcome speech. But I prefer to talk about real-world problems. Glad to meet you.
Martin nods slowly.
I apologize once again for this long-distance meeting. Now, as we don't have much time, I'd like to get to the point. I'm sure you're curious why you were taking off the bus to Magellan and brought here instead.
He moves closer to the camera.
I'm going to show you a short video. Please pay attention.
Kingsley's face freezes on screen.
I have an urgent mission for an employee of your background and qualifications. I'd have assigned someone from Magellan, but I'm short on personnel. That's why it has to be a newcomer. I apologize again for the rush, but it seems I have no choice.
Martin noisily clears his throat.
Maybe you've heard about Nashville Base. While preparing the materials for this mission, I came across a short documentary film about the complex. I think you should watch it.
The speakers produce a hollow click. Purple, gray, and black spots flicker on the screen. A blurred title, The Cronus Archive 1971 to 1974, was used in the production of this recording, appears at the bottom. The shadow of an airplane flies across a faded yellow desert. A cheery voice fills the room. Every day, our researchers uncover more and more of the dome's secrets. There is no doubt the underground structures, so-called objects, are organized according to some pattern. though early on, the importance of the relics to scientific research was considered insignificant.
What's going on, Stux? So far we're winning,
The
but we just
desert
started.
dims into the black of a chalkboard. White lines drawn by an invisible hand begin to sketch a schematic of the dome. The narrator continues. By 1972, however, many important discoveries had come to light in a period of only a few months, and the construction of stationary research bases adjacent to the more promising objects began. Personnel moved into Ankara in May of 1972, and within half a year, Boston and Dessau were also brought into service, though the biggest discovery was yet to come. The picture changes to a chasm suffused with electric light, people bustling about everywhere. The speaker's voice seems to come from a distance. In November of 1973, a massive network of underground caves and a structure of hitherto unseen complexity was discovered in Sector C-12. Soon afterwards, the construction of C-12 Nashville began. The camera glides through dim caverns as the silhouettes of bizarre mechanisms emerge. The speaker continues. C-12 Nashville is an innovative research complex located atop the primary relic mining location. The complexity of this object is unique. Communications. The film abruptly cuts out, and Kingsley's face reappears.
The rest of this information is classified. Hopefully you get the main idea. Nashville is a very special place, requiring people with both special qualifications and special clearance level, though yours will do for your task.
Martin adjusts his glasses.
So, the task. Nashville base stopped transmitting and receiving signals yesterday evening. A reconnaissance group was sent out earlier today, but we haven't heard anything from them yet either.
The chief officer rubs his forehead.
Normally, I would never give this task to a newcomer like yourself, but I just don't have enough people.
He looks down at the documents again.
Furthermore, the group was lacking someone with your specialization. I decided that a visit to an established base like Nashville didn't require an armed escort. That may have been a big mistake.
Kingsley is looking into the camera once more.
Your task is to get to Nashville, figure out whatever's behind the communication problem, get in touch with the group, and work with them to solve the problem.
The chief officer carefully returns the documents to the folder. Kingsley's hand reaches toward the camera.
Great to hear. Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. And that means we can finally leave this little area, which is called Concord. Stuck says, sick at home, didn't manage to dodge the flu. I got this cough that I haven't been able to shake, but otherwise. Sergey says, strange choice of Halloween game. Yeah, fair enough, but the prologue is super creepy, which is really what I wanted to show people. But as soon as we're ready to leave, we just talk to this woman.
Good day to you.
Clara Morgan. And she will drive you out.
Come back.
Which brings you to the world map a bit. But you wind up breaking down at a place called the Roadside Picnic, which is actually named after a book, The Roadside Picnic.
The highway leading to C-12 Nashville is blocked by an anomalous storm, and you're forced to detour over a... Clara lifts up the hood and...
The engine's boiling, so we'll have to wait. You do...
The blue looks at the engine again.
We wait. As soon as it cools...
Alright, and then that kind of just throws us in here, and then we're forced to find a way to get the truck moving, because for whatever reason, the engine just, like, uncharacteristically blew out, which is part of the anomalies that are going on here. Some of the anomalies under the dome can, like, advance time for physical objects, so things wear out really quickly, which is why this place looks like this. And the only way around it is to use these things called anomaly protectors, which is what we need to find to get the vehicle moving again.
Who the hell? A weird scrub with a groan. The old man, he raises his head to squint, and the old man throws up his hands with a Smellville.
There's an anomaly.
After a little dig,
And then he'll tell you how to go get it. And also give you a key for it. There's actually a ton of stuff you can do right in this little area, but we'll be glossing over most of it, as our main focus is to get to the Nashville station, which is the genuinely creepy part. But to be fair, this next part is also a little weird. So, in order to get the anomaly protector, you got to come down into the basement of this other building. Which is this. And our goal is to get over here to this weird tree. But you have to be pretty careful, because there is this thing wandering around. Because part of the anomalies of the dome can really mess people up, as you can see, which will turn them into those things. Now the easiest way to do this is to just come over here and then hit stealth mode. And then jump to the other side here. Now as long as I don't cross into that red circle, I'm fine, as long as I'm already in stealth. And all we gotta do is grab this stuff. The anomaly protector is what we need, of course. And then we can also grab a relic, which is the brass apple. Now this one is active, so we can see it also gives us some detriments as well as benefits. Now that thing's actually pretty, like, you can kill it early on, but most of the time it's not worth trying to fight that thing. But it is nonetheless really creepy. Alright, and then when we step back out, there's going to be some people here. We're going to save real quick, just in case this doesn't go my way. Now some bandits are basically trying to hustle these people for gas. And then you got a few different ways to deal with it. You can just give them gas if you found some up to this point. Or you can use intimidation or charm or anything. And we really don't have too much of an option. I really don't want to fight all these guys because we'll probably lose. But I don't have any compounds, or combos rather, so looks like fighting's the way we're gonna do it.
Here, brothers.
But this is the first time you're fighting several people, so it can easily not go your way. As you can see, before we've even gotten to our turn, we're basically half dead already. Now, you can actually fix this turret, which will help you fight right here if you want to, or if you have the ability to. And then, gotta move over a little bit, but as I said, we're probably gonna lose this, so I'll probably have to load and then look for a gas canister is usually the easiest way to deal with it. As you can see, they like to gang up on you. Oh, and we're stunned too. This will definitely be the end of it right here. Yeah, so that's pretty much how that usually goes if you have to fight. Because obviously it's pretty heavily weighted against you. I mean, unless you have it on like story mode or something. But offhand, I want to say if you go right over here, you can find a gas canister somewhere, which you can give them, which is usually the easiest way to resolve it if you don't have the persuasion to do it yourself. Now, if you activated the turret, it can help you out, but even with the turret, sometimes it's pretty easy to lose that fight. So So it's usually better to either persuade them or just give them the gas. Since apparently they have gas just laying around. But I think that's pretty much all we gotta do.
But Ravi, you still food from shops yourself.
With his gang, the old man takes off his The old man scrub listening to your story.
Hey, sweetheart.
He looks a bit Aaron.
Now, he can give you another little side quest if you feel like sticking around to do it, but once you've got the anomaly protector, you're pretty much good to carry on to Nashville, which is where things start getting particularly creepy. SNES Mapper says I'm interested in this game in Game Deck, but want to wait for them to drop the price a bit. Game Deck, I definitely agree with you on. Encased, I feel like is worth the
looks
money.
up from poking around the end. A vague smile appears on the blue's face. You open the hood. Nothing happens. You exchange. She gently sitting behind the wheel. Clara nods to you, inviting you to get into the.
So that fixes that, and we can head on to the Nashville facility.
As you approach Nashville, the realization hits you that something is definitely wrong. The boom at the security checkpoint is up, and the turret indicators are glowing red. The automatic guns beep and direct their gun barrels at your vehicle. You and Morgan exchange concerned looks.
Alright, now we have piloting, so we can do this.
This attempt is unsuccessful. The tow truck spins out of control and crashes into the security booth. A burst of bullets from the turret pierces the vehicle, covering you with shattered glass. The blue tumbles out of the open driver's side door with a grunt, and you follow her. Sitting beside the truck track, you lift your head to see Nashville ablaze. Black smoke billowing overhead and intertwining with the maelstrom above the station. It whirls slowly and majestically, hundreds of tiny green lightning bolts flashing silently in the epicenter. Clara lifts her eyes to the sky,
Alright, and then depending on how that account goes, you can wind up in a few different places along the road here, but these turrets are not something you want to mess with. You want to stay away from them as best you can. And then Clara will also be in various shape, depending on how that little text event went for you. But if you can get into this room and hack the computer, where you go? You can actually turn the turrets off. Good grief. Clara's keeping us from going into stealth. But basically you want to avoid the turrets the best you can and then try to get to this room to turn the turrets off. And then get over to here. With that said, if you don't have the hacking ability, you can't really get into that either. And if I remember correctly, I want to say this guy has the key. Somebody has the key nearby. You can also find hacking software to get into it as well. Yeah, so here's some hacking software. If you don't have the skill to hack it, that can be helpful. Because that adds 15 to whatever your base score is, which off the top of my head, even with that, I don't think we have enough. Yeah, so even then, because I don't have any hacking at all, but you can increase your skills through stuff like that was my point. So we'll have to find the key, which offhand, I don't remember where it is. Somebody has the key hanging around. Like one of these bodies has the key on them, I mean. Don't remember if it's that guy or not. Michael says you can also save Clara. Yeah. Again, depending on how that text event goes, it's she can just not be hurt at all sometimes as well. But there's the key to the booth. And then honestly, offhand, I do not remember where the password for that thing is. But an easy way to move around, since obviously there's all these turrets, you can actually drop down into a manhole, which gives you access to a little sewer system around here. Now you gotta be a little bit careful, because there are some fights in here that, again, because you are alone, are a little weighted against you. And then your ultimate goal is to get past the parking lot and into the facility, of course, which there's a couple ways to do. And one of the easiest ways to get in is right here. However, you still have to have the access key. And the access key is over here, if I remember correctly. There's another fight in here you gotta watch out for, with some giant mutated roaches. You can also find the key to this door on, I believe, one of the bodies up top as well. I know this, we actually do have enough to hack it with the hacking software, which will then open the safe. Which has the ventilation access key, which is one of the ways we can get in. However, before we do that, I did kind of want to show off this creepy interaction you can have up there. I believe this ladder is the closest one to it. Edward says, "Hey bro, I'm Edward." Fair enough. Okay, so we gotta be a little careful because we haven't turned the turrets off, but wait until stealth comes back on, and then if we get over here, if the dead bodies weren't a clue, things aren't going well in Nashville.
Bobby, where the hell are you? Over. Bobby, I really need your help. Over. Maria's dead. Ron is acting weird. I'm scared. Looks like Kingsley had no idea what was going on here. Bob, please reply. Reply to me, goddammit. Over. Bobby!
And if we click on it, it does nothing. And sometimes there's an interaction, if you have extra psyche and stuff, where you can talk into it and like nothing replies back or anything. It's super weird. But as you can see from all the dead bodies and the turrets, things aren't going well. But once you actually get into the facility, it kind of switches over to almost a full-on little horror mission, which is fun for a CRPG. You seem to enjoy this game. What's your thoughts? I did a whole review on it if you want my extended opinion, but I enjoy it quite a bit. I think it's fun. It's very Fallout, Stalker. A lot of people like to mention that it's inspired by that book, Roadside Picnic. But it's very good.
The shaft is filled with the thick stench of a sewer. Though, as you crawl forward, the smell is gradually replaced with the sharp scent of quartz. It's dark. You crawl a bit farther and, battering the grill down, climb into a utility tunnel with a metal ladder leading upward. It looks like the external access of an elevator shaft. After climbing some 20 meters, you come to a trap door. You push the lid open and find a short passage leading right to the elevator platform. You crawl into the dimly lit elevator platform and, when you raise your head, spot a woman standing in the corner. You examine the chevron on her jacket sleeve. Apparently Apparently, she's one of those responsible for the Nashville site excavation. Your eyes are drawn to her hands where dozens of tiny lights are moving under her skin with a faint twinkle. The stranger ignores your question. The stranger makes no reaction, even as you grab her shoulder and turn her around. She looks weird. Her face is completely slack, as though she were under the influence of a powerful anesthetic. Her eyes are wide open, though. Bright white rings glow around her irises. There's a thud. Something heavy falls down behind your back, making the platform shudder. You reflexively jump aside, just in time. A body lands where you were standing a moment ago with an unpleasant crunch. And then another one, right next to it. People begin to fall onto the elevator platform from the darkness of the shaft above. The elevator platform is shaking. A speaker on the wall comes alive. Caution, overload. Please vacate the platform. Caution, overload. Please vacate. The strained overhead cable snaps with a blaring twang. You fail to leap from the platform in time. It plummets, whatever remains of its emergency braking mechanism screeching unbearably. You clutch the railing, pressing your entire body against it to brace for the impact. The elevator car comes to a sudden halt as it crashes into something soft with a loud splash. Faint, you stagger to your feet. The elevator door opens onto a dark corridor. You have arrived at your destination. Welcome to Nashville.
It's a good little scene. Another cool thing about your scanner, which you can do it to all the bodies up top as well, but you can scan dead bodies and find out what their name was and who they were in the Cronus organization. So that was a woman named Anna Breslin. And then, if you read some of the terminals, you can actually just discover where people are just slowly being driven nuts over time, which is pretty neat. And we can also open the door with that. Yeah, we can, like, I'm just showing the prologue for the sake of Halloween, so we're not too concerned about looting everything. But normally, yes, you would want to loot all the corpses and everything and scan them for all the XP and stuff that you would get for doing it. But right now, we're just focused on how genuinely creepy the prologue to this game is, and I wanted to show it off for Halloween. Now, that door's locked, which is where we need to get to, because we need to come in here to activate the elevator, which doesn't work right now. Now you can either lockpick this door, use the terminal to get it open, or if you look around, you can also just find the key. And I believe it's over here somewhere. Is it in the flower pot? Yeah, you can also find the key, but honestly we have the lockpick, so we're just going to do that. And then it's also possible to get stuff out of this broken machine. So you have to have a little more muscle than we've got to get all of it. And then this is where we get to access the big servo shell armor for the prologue, which is like power armor basically. Good stuff. Also open this safe. So this is a third of a relic that you can find around Nashville. If you find all three pieces, you can put it together, which gives you a cool relic. And then once you're ready, where is it? Is it this one? It might be this. Yeah. Yeah, what? Ah, man, remember something being over here, to be honest. That's the elevator terminal, but we don't have the... You have to access the password for somewhere, I think. And... Is that the note? I remember being able to get a password or something like that from this one. And you can also loot this guy for a shotgun, which is actually pretty good for us. Because we have light weapons. Oh yeah, here it is. This is a security key card. That's the key for the terminal there. I was like, I know you can get the key for this somewhere. We'll head down one floor.
Salutations.
Then we're immediately being hassled by this guy, who seems to be someone who's in control of his faculties, which compared to everybody else is saying something. Now you can actually kill him right here if you want, but basically he was part of the group that was already sent here. And he's trying to escape, as obviously it didn't go very well. And then he heads up top trying to get out, even though there's no way out. And this is where you can start encountering some of the people who have been deranged. If you look around the residential area. Like this guy bleeding everywhere. And most of the time, if you interact with them too much, they will just attack you. Ah, we got stunned. That's annoying.
There are traces and fractals. Traces and fractals.
Yeah, there's that. Now we gotta level up at some point. We'll just pour more into light weapons, and then we actually get a perk point this turn as well, which can do all sorts of stuff for you. We'll grab that just because it's easy and we don't care too much. But so you actually do have to come to the residential area here, because up here is one of the keys you'll need to get too much farther into Nashville. Which you'd learn about if you explored about, but obviously I know about it because I played it. But in here, in the fridge, I believe, is where it is. Yeah. Because clearly not everyone around here is doing well, so for whatever reason, somebody put it in the fridge. And then we're actually a little bit fatigued from opening all these doors and stuff. Now we want to avoid the turrets best we can, but now that we've got that key, we can go down to floor 3. Alright, and then some guy will come shambling towards you, as we saw in that little text event. And it's possible to just sneak around him. Otherwise, you're going to have to kill him, because he will attack once he eventually sees you. But if you're going for like a pacifist run, you can actually go into stealth before he gets there and then just sneak around him.
Something else of crucial importance. The emanation wasn't permanent. Supposedly, it has abruptly increased during the last couple of days. I wonder why that is.
Alright, and he's got a bunch of stuff. Now, as you can see, there's blood everywhere. And we're not really sure why, but the other members of the team that were sent here before you can be found right over here. And one of them is also going
Glad
crazy.
to meet you.
What's going on, Onette? So she'll explain that she was the expedition leader that was sent here before you guys. And that just like you, they showed up. Everyone was obviously not doing well. They got attacked. And they haven't been able to get a hold of Kingsley to tell him the situation. Also, they straight up ate one of the team members, Maria.
Come back again.
And the only guy that can really help us out is Ronald there, and we got to get into the room. We can explain who we are, because his slowly going mad friend here locked him in the room there.
Bye-bye.
We have to convince Louise to open it.
Oh, good day.
Come on, don't be shy.
Alright, then he'll explain that basically he thinks there is a relic even farther down into the Nashville facility that is slowly driving everyone insane, which is responsible for the rather messy and bloody situation over here. Although, as a fun side note, if you come over this way, you can find 3 of these zombies, for lack of a better word, eating Maria, who was the woman we heard about. But normally this is where you would have to search around for the master key, as well as, if you want to, do some stuff in the server room to contact Magellan, or I think it's Magellan, or Concord maybe, on these computers, which will tell the guy who sent you here kind of what's going on. There's just some fun interaction you can have there. But once you find that master key from earlier, we can head deeper into Nashville. And our goal is ultimately to get over here. But as we can see, there's a bunch of people standing there that clearly aren't doing well. Now, if we just try to walk straight through, we'll take on that consumed by darkness thing, which will kill you. So what you have to do is find a way to light up these lights to actually get over here to the relic, which is what we're trying to make our way to. And then you can actually also turn this thing on to scan it if you want by turning on the 3 monitors around here. But in order to get the power going, what we have to do is get this computer on. However, to do that, we have to turn on backup generators, which are marked by these 3 lights. One of them is just right up here. And then as you can see, the number that you've turned on will turn green above the computer there. And the other one is over here. And we can use these right here as well, which will turn this thing on, which lets you scan it for experience and information, but also it looks pretty cool, so we gotta go this way anyway. Yes, that fires that up, and then you can go scan it after that if you want. But the other tower thing is right over here. Then we can head back to the computer and attempt to turn the lights on.
Enabling lighting in the excavation zone. Warning. Damage to power system detected. Start the emergency.
Now, that won't actually turn all of them on. Now we have to make our way over to the generator here. But ideally, you want to do that while the lights are on, so you don't take a bunch of damage from Consumed by Darkness, because Consumed by Darkness will kill you. It'll do a bunch of damage. Then we turn on the generator. Then we have to head back. But do we have a med kit? Because taking a lot of damage already. No, I don't think we do. Oh, we should be okay. We're just walking back over here. Now we can do that again.
Lighting enabled. Have a nice day.
And then we can see all of the people being driven down here by whatever psychic thing this relic is doing. And all of them are clearly insane.
This amber orange ball, hovering above the scientific equipment connected to it, seems to be the reason for what happened in Nashville. You can feel the waves of anomalous radiation emanating from it with your whole body. A pleasant tingling rolls through your skin, and each wave fills your head for a mere moment with strange, rapidly fading images. Without taking your eyes off the sphere, you move closer.
So it doesn't really matter too much what you pick here.
You aim your scanner at the artifact's glowing surface, but the device will not function. Only a sine curve is quivering spasmodically on the monochrome screen. You suddenly begin to feel numb. The prickling in your hands and the anomalous radiation pressing against your head grow weaker, but a frightening sensation rises in their stead. An unknown force detaches you from your body and takes you up into the cool, ringing silence. The maelstrom hanging above Nashville embraces you. All of your consciousness unfolds like a giant canvas, hurling you into a dark auditorium. You see the maelstrom swirling over Nashville. Pulling you from the crumbling walls of the base, it lifts your mind above the world. It covers the lands of the dome like a gigantic spot, in the swirling shadow of which the lights of human consciousness flicker. Some of them fade away, barely in contact with the maelstrom. Others grow dimmer and blink painfully. Some glow with a strange, cold light. Gaining strength, the maelstrom, rushing westward, comes crashing down onto the southern lands of the dome, leaving behind hundreds of fluttering and slowly fading lights. After sweeping out Concord and Spire Station, the maelstrom finally calms down. It hangs in the very center of the dome, like a majestic, lazily swirling vortex. And your mind rushes about within it like a shining spark. It takes you some time to realize that you're wandering through a fog. You step carefully through the white haze. The space beneath your feet resembles thick, but the lights are actively moving.
And that is basically the prologue to Encased. So the idea being that our mind, or psyche, got swept up into the maelstrom itself. Joby Lee says, "Hey Mort, I appreciate all your content. I'm having a blast in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Definitely debating playing Kingmaker or DOS 2 next. Kingmaker is really good, but it's got some rough spots. Personally, I'd recommend DOS 2 more than Kingmaker." And then SCN says, "Happy Halloween in Silver Shamrock." Yeah, very much so. Scary says, "Are you wearing pajamas? The deepness of its color is unreal." No, this is just like a hoodie. So, that is the prologue. My cat is very angrily meowing outside the door. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. But that's the prologue. That's really what I wanted to show you guys, because I've always thought the prologue of this game was super creepy. But that's pretty much all I wanted to show for today. We'll be back Wednesday with our Wasteland 3 playthrough, and that's when we'll officially start. What's my favorite build from DOS 2? I really enjoy the Inquisitor build that I made, as well as, what was it? The Metamorph build that I put up. Metamorph is probably my favorite, just because you can do a lot of weird stuff with that one. But the Inquisitor build is a close second. But, there you go, guys. There is the Encased prologue. I've always thought it was super creepy, and I thought it would be fun to share that with everybody from Halloween, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, Wasteland 3 will be starting next Wednesday, and then we'll kind of just run through the whole game. I actually love that game as well. That'll be a lot of fun. That's a fun game to stream, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I will have a video up tomorrow about my 6 years on YouTube, actually, because Halloween also is the anniversary of the channel, which is really fun. Joey Lee says, "Will there be a Paladin or Aldori Defender build for PF Wrath of the Righteous?" Yeah, I will eventually get to it. I'll actually pick the builds back up pretty soon. I've just been super busy, so I haven't been able to really mess with it. But there you go, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. May you wander in wisdom, and have an amazing rest of your day.